Welcome back. So the previous video in this series, I talked about how you can teach your young children about how to learn more about money. Well, today I want to expand upon that and discuss how you can teach your 7 to 12-year-old about managing, saving, and budgeting their allowance. So this is probably the first time that your 7 to 12-year-old is receiving an allowance. So how do they manage it? How do they save it? And how do they spend it? The first step is to let them know that they get an allowance on a periodic basis. Now, you don't want allowance to be random. What you want to do is set a schedule on when they're going to receive their allowance. This helps them manage it a little bit easier. For example, if you give them an allowance every 2 weeks, keep it consistent every 2 weeks and the same amount. So for example, if you give your child a $5 allowance, keep that consistent every 2 weeks. You don't want to change it or stop it suddenly, but if you do, inform them that you aren't able to pay it so that they aren't expecting that additional income that comes from their allowance. You also want to talk to them about saving their allowance. Now, you don't want to give them $5 and then all of a sudden they spend it all and it's gone. Teach them about saving for those future goals that they have with their allowance. So there's a 50-30-20 rule of thumb that's out there, and your 7 to 12-year-old can use this as well. You have a portion for your wants, a portion for your needs, and a portion of your income for your savings. Next, you want to teach your child how to track their purchases. So tracking their purchases consists of them keeping the receipts that they have for any purchases that they make with their allowance. So for example, if they have $50 worth of allowance saved up, they go into that store and make a $20 purchase, they need to come home with that receipt and minus it from their balance. Every time they make a purchase, they need to subtract it from the allowance that they have on hand. Now, what if they had a return because they impulse shop? Well, when they get that money back, they can add it back into the allowance that they have on hand. But keeping a track of every purchase that they make helps them understand how much money they still have in their allowance and that they can spend in the future. So how do you keep a track of your expenses? They can do this on an Excel spreadsheet. They can do it on their phone. iPhone has the notes pad where they can keep a track of it, or they can have it in a journal or a notebook. My daughter keeps hers in a notebook, so every time she makes a purchase, she subtracts it from her total balance that she has in her account. Next, you want to teach your child to shop to compare prices. Now, I'm sure you've gone into Walmart or Publix or Target and you see the various prices for very similar items in the store. So for example, you may go into the store to purchase cereal for your children and you see that Trix costs $5.48 a box. But then you see the great value option and it's $4.20 a box. So teaching your child how to compare shop can help them find the best price for very similar items. It's also important to show them the difference between the height levels on the shelf. The things that are eye level cost more than the things on the bottom shelf. Teaching your child to compare shop in the store can make them become a savvy shopper and can end up saving them money in the long run, money that they can use for future goals that they have. All right, now that your child has an allowance, you want them to make a budget and stick to it. Now, they have that allowance that you have coming in on a consistent basis. You want them to make a budget for that allowance. Every time they get paid that allowance of $5, you want them to write it down. You want them to keep the same savings goal, a similar spending goal that they have for themselves as well. The most important aspect of that is to stick to it. Yes, you may have something that you want to purchase, that you've been wanting to purchase for a long time, but you want to stick to that budget. Tell them the importance of sticking to the budget and achieving the goals that they have set for themselves. Again, you can incorporate storytelling into this. Tell them about your personal experience with sticking to your budget and times when you didn't stick to your budget. Letting them know the consequences of your actions and when you didn't stick to your budget can help them build positive money habits and can help them achieve the future goals that they have set for themselves. Next, you want to teach your child to avoid impulse shopping. Yes, you're in middle school and you may see someone else who has a nice shirt, a nice belt, or they may have a nice notebook that you really wanted to buy from Walmart or Target. But teaching them to avoid impulse shopping can help them keep their budget on track and achieve the goals that they have. Letting them know that impulse shopping could affect their budget and the goals that they have in the long run can help them keep their budget on track. Now, with these 5 techniques, you want your child to show that they can spend and save money that can help them achieve the goals that they have set for themselves. Through these techniques, you also want them to show that they have self-confidence in the decisions that they make with their finances. Finally, you want them to meet their goals and have fun at the same time. I mentioned in the previous video that puzzles and games was a good way to teach younger children how to have fun while learning about money. This is the same for middle schoolers. So incorporate those games that I mentioned in the last video, and you can make learning about money fun for you, your child, and your family. Stay tuned for my next video as I discuss how high schoolers can learn more about managing money, credit, and how they can take these techniques and tools into adulthood. And until next time, if you need financial coaching assistance, feel free to reach out to me at www.harriswealthcoach.com. Thanks for joining me.